What if I told you your skills were never the reason you didn't get the job? You did everything right. You studied. You nailed the interview, but someone else less qualified got the offer. And deep down you knew it wasn't luck. You knew something wasn't fair. We've all heard the phrase, it's not what you know, it's who you know, and we treat it like a cliche. But I wanted to test if that was true. So I ran a poll on LinkedIn and I asked, would you hire a stranger with 100% of the skills or a trusted ex-colleague with only 66% of the skills? The result, 77% chose the ex-colleague. Not the most skilled, not the best fit on paper, just the most familiar, the most trusted. This video isn't a rant about how unfair that is. We have to deal with the world as it is. So I'll explain why the game's played this way, and then I'll show you how to use that knowledge to better play the game yourself, to turn those unfair advantages to your advantage. So let's examine why things are this way. It's not really rooted in loyalty to the people in the decision makers network, and it's not about doing a favor. No, the real driver here is fear. When someone's hiring, whether it's for a corporate role, a project team, or even just bringing on a contractor, they're under pressure to get it right. They've got time constraints, budget pressure, internal expectations, and whether they realize it or not, they're not just thinking about who's best for the job. They're thinking about who feels like the safest bet. That's where fear takes hold. Fear of the unknown. Fear that the stranger may be well skilled but unreliable. We can't test for reliability in interviews, and reference checks may not reveal a problem. So the decision maker needs to rely on something else, and this is where trust comes in. And trust doesn't come from a CV, it comes from familiarity. Because when somebody's already worked with you, or knows somebody who has, you skip the uncertainty. You skip the what if they're difficult, or what if they don't fit into the culture, or what if they're unreliable. Instead they go straight to, yeah, I know her, she's good. And just like that, you're in. So that's the why. That's why people with fewer skills but stronger relationships often get the opportunity. But now for the important part. What do you do with this information? Because this isn't about giving up or becoming some networking machine who's in constant schmooze mode. It's about shifting how you approach visibility and connection so that your skills don't go to waste. Let's start with the simplest advice first. You don't have to be the loudest person in the room, but you do need to be seen. And that means two things: staying connected to people you've worked with and making yourself visible to people you haven't. The first one's easy to overlook. You finish a job, a contract, a project, and everyone moves on. But those people, they already trust you, and trust compounds. So check in, share what you're working on next, ask what they're up to, arrange a meetup. You're not asking for a job, you're just reminding them that you exist. Because when something new comes up, a new project, a new role, you'll be the person who's at the front of their mind. And that's not a manipulation, that's maintaining professional relationships, and it's what the best people in our profession do, quietly and consistently. Oh, by the way, if you're into practical advice like this, the kind that helps you to navigate the messy real world side of work, consider subscribing. The second strategy is a little scarier. It involves making your work visible to new people. That might mean sharing something you've learned on LinkedIn, or posting about a project you've just delivered, or writing about a challenge that you've overcome at work. This part's really important. Everything you share must have value to someone else. A lesson to a junior in your profession, an insight to a leader, or a tip to your peers. You give value in every post. This will, over time, attract an audience and will gradually extend a network. So it's not just your immediate colleagues that you work with who value you and your work, but it's a wider community. And if the day comes when you need to ask for some help in finding an opportunity, there'll be potentially thousands of people out there with a positive thing to say about you, a willingness to point you towards the many unadvertised roles that are out there, and the motivation to hire you ahead of a more qualified stranger. For your next steps, keep this in mind. You don't need to be in the top 1% of talent to get the best opportunities. You just need to be part of the small group of people who are trusted, remembered, and recommended. And that's actually good news, because you can build that, you can nurture it, and it starts with small actions. If you've been watching this feeling like you've been overlooked or stuck or invisible, you're not alone and you're not powerless. Here's what you can try this week. Reach out to one person you've worked with in the past and check in. Just reconnect. Share one small insight from your work on LinkedIn. It doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to be real and of value to someone else. And if you're currently in a role, think about how you can make your contributions visible inside the organisation. Not loud, just clear. Because the truth is your skills do matter, but they only matter if the right people know about them. And that's what this is really about, making sure that your skills have a chance to be seen, trusted and valued. If this resonated with you and you want to go deeper, I made a whole course that walks through everything I did to land a job in just 2 weeks in one of the toughest markets I've ever seen. It's called Find Your Next or First Project Management Job, and it covers the whole journey from figuring out your next move to building the kind of network that actually shows up when you need it. The link's in the description if you're curious. No pressure, just something to check out if you're ready to take the next step. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video, unless you happen to get there first and post a useful lesson from your experience, in which case I'll see you in the comments.